The Only Investment Guide You'll Ever Need by Andrew Tobias. Picture this. You've just grabbed a popular investment guide off the shelf. It's hefty, peppered with exclamation points, and guarantees you'll be swimming in money. You're flipping through chapters about antique cars and gold coins when something stops you cold. Mexican savings banks. The book lays it out simply. American banks are offering a pathetic 5.5% interest, but you could be earning a whopping 12% in Mexico. At that rate, $1,000 doesn't just grow, it explodes. In 20 years, you're looking at nearly 10 grand. And here's the kicker. The book hints that Mexican banks don't exactly report your interest to the IRS. Sure, there's a tiny wrinkle. If the Mexican peso takes a dive against the dollar, your investment shrinks with it. But the author, a so-called expert, tells you not to worry. The peso is rock solid, he says. It's been locked to the dollar for over 20 years. The Mexican government has promised on their mother's grave they won't touch it. You're no international finance wizard, but this sounds pretty good. I mean, why would an author write about it if it wasn't legit, right? So you jump in. For the next year and a half, you're feeling like a financial genius. Your friends are getting free toasters with their savings accounts while you're raking in 12% in pesos. Then, one September morning, you wake up to a news bomb. Mexico has decided to let its peso float. Overnight, it drops 25%. Within days, it's down 40%. Just like that, a massive chunk of your savings vanishes into thin air. You and thousands of other Americans have lost billions. You're devastated, but you tell yourself not to panic. What's done is done. You'll hold steady. It has to bounce back. 6 weeks later, the peso floats again and plummets another 20%. You've now lost more than half your money. All because you trusted a book that promised the moon. That story, and yes, it's completely true, is the perfect launching pad for today's journey. We're diving into a book that's sold over 1 million copies and has been a beacon for investors for nearly 40 years. It's called The Only Investment Guide You'll Ever Need, written by the brilliant Andrew Tobias. And here's the thing. It doesn't promise to make you rich overnight, because it won't. Its promise is way more valuable than that. It will teach you the simple, timeless truths about money that will keep you from ever going broke. This isn't about complicated formulas or sketchy schemes. It's about common sense. It's about building a fortress of financial security, one smart, simple decision at a time. By the time we're done today, you'll understand the crucial difference between SEVRI, price, and HORA, value. You'll know the single most powerful financial move you can make, and you'll discover why, in the investing world, being a little bit chicken can actually be your superpower. So let's get started. Where do we even begin on this path to financial wisdom? Most investment books throw you straight into the deep end, with stocks, bonds, and complex strategies. But Andrew Tobias starts somewhere way more fundamental, with advice so simple it almost sounds old-fashioned. It's a modern twist on an old Benjamin Franklin saying. Franklin said, "A penny saved is a penny earned." But Tobias catches something crucial that's changed since Franklin's day. Taxes. Imagine you're in a 33% tax bracket. That doesn't mean you hand over a third of everything you make, but it does mean that for every extra dollar you earn, Uncle Sam takes about 33 cents. So to actually pocket $1, you need to earn roughly $1.50. Now think about that penny you saved. Let's say you skipped that $5 latte. You just saved $5. To earn an extra $5 after taxes, you would have needed to make about $7.50. See the magic happening here? The money you don't spend is worth more than the money you earn. It's already survived the tax battlefield. It's pure profit. So Tobias rewrites the old saying for today. A penny saved is 2 pennies earned. This is the foundation of his entire philosophy. The fastest, safest, and most powerful way to build wealth isn't chasing a bigger paycheck or hot stock tips. It's mastering the art of spending less than you make. It's recognizing that every dollar you save didn't have to fight through the tax gauntlet to reach you. And he's got so many clever, practical ways to make this work. He tells this great story about Charles Revson, the cosmetics tycoon behind Revlon. Revson used to buy his mouthwash by the case. Now, a guy that loaded certainly wasn't sweating a few dollars. But financially, this was genius. Buying in bulk meant getting a discount and beating inflation by locking in last year's prices. The return on his investment in mouthwash was probably better and definitely safer than plenty of his stock market plays. Tobias uses a perfect example with wine. Say you enjoy a $10 bottle every Saturday. Your wine shop offers 10% off if you buy a case of 12. So instead of dropping $10 weekly, you spend $108 up front for 12 weeks worth. You've tied up an extra $98. But for that investment, you save $1 every single week. That's $52 saved over a year. Think about that for a second. You're earning $52 on an investment of just $98. That's over a 50% return. Tax-free. Risk-free. Show me another investment that good. Now apply this thinking to everything you buy regularly. Paper towels, soap, canned goods, coffee. By buying in bulk when things are on sale, you're basically paying yourself a guaranteed, tax-free dividend. It's not about being cheap. It's about being smart. It's understanding that $1 saved today beats $1 earned tomorrow. This mindset leads directly to one of the biggest financial battlegrounds for young people: debt. Specifically, credit card debt. Tobias couldn't be clearer on this. Paying 18% or 20% interest on a credit card is financial suicide. Why? Because avoiding that 20% interest is the same as earning 20%. Let that sink in. An investment that guarantees 20% returns, zero risk, completely tax-free. If that existed, people would be trampling each other to get it. Well, guess what? It does exist. It's called paying off your credit card. It's the simplest, safest, and most powerful investment you'll ever make. Keeping money in a savings account earning 1% while carrying credit card debt at 20% is like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. You're hemorrhaging 19 cents on every dollar. Every year. It's a hole that just keeps getting deeper. This principle of a penny saved is 2 pennies earned is your first key to the kingdom. It's not about living like a hermit. It's about awareness. It's about spotting the hidden costs and hidden opportunities in your everyday life. It's realizing that financial freedom isn't won in the frantic trading rooms of Wall Street, but in the quiet, deliberate choices you make every single day. Once you've nailed that foundational idea that saving beats earning, you're ready for the second great truth. And this one's a bit darker, more cynical, but absolutely essential. It's 3 simple words: trust no one. Sounds harsh, right? When you're young, you want to believe people have your back. But in the money world, Tobias warns, you've got to be your own fiercest protector. He's not saying everyone's a crook, but he is saying that everyone's looking out for themselves first, and you often come second. He shares this story about those old TV commercials with beloved, grandfatherly actors like Dick Van Dyke and Gavin MacLeod, the captain from The Love Boat, no less, hawking life insurance plans for seniors. They sounded amazing. No matter how bad your health, you cannot be turned down, they promised, just $5 a month. The actors would look straight into the camera with such sincerity and say, "I would never endorse anything I didn't believe in with my whole heart." But when you actually read the fine print, the whole thing crumbled. The big payout only covered accidental death, which is pretty rare for older folks. Die from illness? Your family got a tiny fraction. And you weren't even covered for illness until you'd paid premiums for 2 full years. Even worse, as you aged, your coverage actually shrank. Someone who paid faithfully for 25 years might end up with a final payout of just a few $100. It was an awful deal, wrapped in a warm blanket of celebrity trust. The lesson? You can't trust the smiling face on TV, you can't trust the hot tip from your barber, and most importantly, you often can't even trust your own broker. Why? It's not because brokers are evil, it's because of how they get paid. Brokers make money when you buy or sell. Their incentive is action. Your incentive as a long-term investor is often inaction, buying something solid and holding on. These two goals directly conflict. There's an old Wall Street joke. Well, the broker made money and the firm made money, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Guess who's left out? You, the client. This leads to a really eye-opening and for many people shocking conclusion. Most professional money managers can't beat the market. Study after study shows that a monkey throwing darts at stock listings will, over time, perform just as well as the average highly paid professional. How is that even possible? It comes down to 2 things: fees and the random walk theory. First, fees. The market itself is like a riderless horse. It just runs. The average professional is riding that same horse, but carrying a heavy load of commissions, management fees, and taxes from frequent trading. Just by dodging those costs, you're already ahead. Second, the random walk theory suggests the stock market is incredibly efficient. Any new information gets reflected in stock prices almost instantly. By the time you hear a hot tip, it's old news and the price has already adjusted. The market has no memory. Yesterday's moves tell you nothing about tomorrow. Trying to outsmart it day to day is a sucker's game. So if you can't trust the experts to consistently beat the market, who does that leave? You. And this might sound scary, but Tobias says it's actually liberating. Because you don't need to be a genius. You don't need to predict the future. You just need some common sense and a healthy dose of what he calls cowardice. Which brings us to the heart of the book, The Case for Cowardice. This might be the most important investment advice you'll ever get. Before you even think about the stock market, before you dream of that one big score, you need to build a foundation of absolute safety. Tobias tells this wonderful story about his one and only trip to the horse races. He knows nothing about horses, but his friend's an expert who goes twice a week. For one race, his friend has a sure thing, a horse practically guaranteed to win. But Tobias spots a long shot on the board, a horse named Willow, with 25-1 odds. He decides to bet on Willow. His friend laughs, calling it a sucker bet. The race starts, and incredibly, Willow takes the lead, holds it. Against all odds, Willow wins. But here's the kicker, he'd only bet $3. And he makes this profound observation. He says, if I had bet the full $100 on Willow, she would have surely lost. There's no way in the world she would have won. And we all know, deep down, he's right. When you bet the farm on a long shot, the universe has a funny way of making sure you lose the farm. The great speculation that makes you instantly rich is mostly fantasy. The real path to wealth is slow, steady, and honestly kind of boring. It's about being a coward. What does that actually mean? It means before you buy a single share of stock, you need your financial house in perfect order. First, you've paid off all your high-interest debt, especially credit cards. Remember, that's your guaranteed 20% return. Second, you've got a solid emergency fund, enough cash in a simple safe savings account to cover at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is your fortress. This is what lets you sleep at night. It's what protects you from having to sell investments at the worst possible time because your car died or you lost your job. Only after building that foundation, with money you know you won't need for many years, at least 5, ideally 10 or more, should you even consider the stock market's risks. And when you do, keep it simple. You don't need to pick the next apple. In fact, you probably can't. The simplest and most effective strategy for most people is investing in a no-load index fund. Let's break that down. A mutual fund is basically a basket of many different stocks, giving you instant diversification. No load means you don't pay a sales commission to buy it. And an index fund is a special mutual fund that doesn't try to pick winners. It just passively buys all the stocks in a major market index, like the S&P 500. Why is this so powerful? Because by owning an index fund, you're guaranteed to match the market's performance. And since most professionals fail to match the market because of their high fees, you, the humble, cowardly index fund investor, will outperform most of them over the long haul, all while spending virtually no time or energy on it. It's a beautiful, elegant solution. It's the financial equivalent of admitting you can't predict the weather, so you just decide to own a little piece of all the weather, everywhere. Now, once you've built this foundation, debt's gone, emergency funds full, long-term money steadily flowing into simple index funds, you can, if you want, take a tiny portion of play money and have some fun. Maybe you think you've spotted an undervalued company. Maybe you want to gamble on a new technology. Fine, but only with money you can afford to lose. It's your $3 bet on Willow. If it wins, great. If it loses, your financial fortress stands completely unshaken. This entire philosophy, saving first, trusting no one, building a safe foundation, investing simply, is a roadmap to something more valuable than just being rich. It's a roadmap to financial peace of mind. And it starts with the smallest, most powerful decisions. It starts with the latte you skip, the credit card interest you avoid, the bulk purchase that saves 10%. It's about the slow, steady, almost invisible magic of compound interest working for you instead of against you. Tobias shares a story that perfectly captures this. He asks you to imagine a young person who quits smoking. A pack a day costs, say, $6. That's over $2,000 a year. One person spends that on cigarettes, and at 65 has serious health problems. Another person who never starts invests that same $2,000 every year in a simple mutual fund earning average returns. By 65, without doing anything fancy or risky, they could have $1 million. One path leads to sickness and poverty, the other to health and wealth. And the only difference was a series of small, daily choices. That's the secret, in the end, except it's not really a secret at all. It's just a simple, powerful, often overlooked truth. The journey to financial security isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not about finding one great speculation. It's about a lifetime of prudent choices. It's about knowing that real wealth isn't the thrill of winning, but the quiet confidence of knowing you can't lose. As we wrap up our journey through the only investment guide you'll ever need, I keep coming back to that title. It's bold, almost cocky. But after spending time with Andrew Tobias's wisdom, you realize the title isn't bragging, it's a promise. A promise that if you internalize a few core, timeless principles, you can tune out all the noise, hype, and fear that dominate the financial world. What strikes me most about this book, especially for someone just starting out, is its profound humility. In a field crawling with gurus claiming secret formulas for beating the market, Tobias tells you the opposite. He tells you you're not a genius, and that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be. In fact, trying to be a genius is often the fastest way to lose your shirt. The market is bigger, faster, and smarter than any individual. Real success isn't in outsmarting it, but in harnessing its power in the simplest way possible. The book's philosophy boils down to this: master your defense before you ever think about offense. Your financial offense is trying to grow money through investments. Your defense is everything else: living below your means, eliminating debt, building an emergency fund, minimizing fees and taxes. Most people obsess over offense, chasing hot stocks or big returns, while leaving their goal wide open. They're losing before the game even starts. Tobias teaches you to build an impenetrable defense first. Once that's solid, the offense practically takes care of itself. And perhaps the most liberating idea in the entire book is that the most effective investment strategy is also the easiest and least stressful. The idea of just parking your money in a low-cost index fund and getting on with your life is revolutionary. It frees you from anxiously checking stocks every day. It frees you from the pressure of being an expert. It frees you to focus your time and energy on what truly matters: your career, your family, your health, your happiness. So what can you do right now to put this wisdom into action? Here are 3 simple steps. First, embrace the power of saving. Find one recurring expense in your life. Just one. And cut it. Maybe it's the daily coffee, the streaming service you barely watch, or bottled water. Take what you save each month and set up an automatic transfer to a separate savings account. Don't just promise yourself. Automate it. Watch that small amount grow. This isn't just about the money, it's about building the discipline muscle. Second, face your debt head on. If you've got credit card debt, treat it like a house fire. It is an emergency. Your most important financial goal is putting it out. Paying it off is the highest return, lowest risk investment on earth. Do whatever it takes. Third, open a Roth IRA. Even if you can only put in $20 a month, start. You're young, and time is the most powerful financial force in the universe. Every dollar you invest today has decades to grow and compound, tax-free. Opening that account and building the habit matters more than the amount. This book isn't just a guide to investing. It's a guide to living. It's about trading short-term pleasure for long-term freedom. It's choosing peace of mind over the thrill of the chase. It's realizing that financial security isn't a destination, but a path you walk, one simple, sensible step at a time. That was our deep dive into the only investment guide you'll ever need by Andrew Tobias. We've explored the core ideas today, but honestly, a summary is like looking at a map of the Grand Canyon. The real magic happens when you're standing on the edge yourself. The book's packed with stories, humor, and wisdom that can only be fully appreciated by reading it. This conversation was meant to show you the path. If anything we've talked about today has sparked something in you, I really encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can fundamentally change your relationship with money and set you on course for a life of security and freedom. You'll find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.